Welcome, everyone, to the L7C Podcast NFL edition. We are finally at week 17, and there's a lot of things we need to talk about. So we have the NFL expert, Justin Aki, with us today. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing today, brother?
I'm feeling good. Good.
You're feeling good after that big win.
Oh, I'm feeling real good. Just step one for Ohio football of the weekend. We still got the Cleveland Browns, and we're going to talk about their situation later on. But yeah, man, it's great to be a Buckeye today.
It is, man. That plus 7.5 cashed in. I don't know where they got the damn line from, but it was wrong because it was what ended up being 21. They won by 21.
Yeah.
Oh my God. After the second quarter, I was like, it's a wrap.
So the first game, Notre Dame covered.
Yeah, I know. I actually bet on them later. They only covered from the last touchdown. Mm-hmm. So if you had Alabama, you were the right side, but just that garbage time touchdown that does it to us sometimes.
I love it. But going to the pro game, we're in week 17, man. We both said back when coronavirus started, if there was one league that was going to get through everything, it's the NFL, and they're about to finish their regular season. And we got a lot to talk about. We're going to recap some of the big games, and we are going to go over these crazy playoff scenarios that we have for this Sunday. So let's just hop right into it. First big game was the Steelers and the Colts from last week. We talked about how the Steelers could potentially, if they lost this, they might have lost 5 games straight. And Steelers won the game 28-24. They snapped their 3-game losing streak. Was this the game that the Steelers needed to show the league that they could do things in the playoffs, or you think it was just a fool's gold game?
Well, they need the game to show themselves that they can be formidable in the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to affect our reading on the Steelers, but they needed that game for themselves first and foremost, and they were able to get done in the second half. Big Ben looked like he did the past 3 weeks, washed in the first half, and then the second half, he just said, fuck it, let me just start throwing the ball finally, and finally did that, and they got the results they needed to. But I don't think that it's going to translate really to anything in the playoffs because the stuff that they don't do well doesn't translate well to playoff football.
Yeah, you're right. Big Ben probably had one of his best games in a while, went 34 for 49, 341, and 3 TDs. And Phillip Rivers went 21 for 34, 270, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 fumble loss there. And Juju Smith-Schuster, who was in the news because of the TikToks and not getting touchdowns, he got a touchdown, so that was good on him. But now the Colts needed to win that game for their playoff situation. So what's it looking like for the Colts? Do you think they play Jacksonville this Sunday, they're going to win, but do they have a shot of getting in? And if they don't get in, where do they go from here? Because they have a good team. They just need a younger quarterback.
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to do their part of the job and win the game Sunday against the Jaguars, but they need help. I mean, for them to get into they need help to get into the playoffs, even if they do win. They need either a Baltimore loss, a Cleveland loss, or a Miami loss. And if they want to win the division, they need Tennessee to lose. And I don't think all 4 of those things are going to happen. So they don't need all those to happen. They need one of the 4 things to happen. So they might get lucky. I don't think that is going to happen this week. I have all these teams slated winning. So I think they just go into the off season and get a quarterback. They just got to find whoever's going to be their signal caller for the next 10 years, and they should be fine. They should be knocking on the door of the playoffs again just next year.
We'll see. Going from that game to another big game was the Washington football team versus the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers, with the upset, won 20-13, but I think you and I weren't that surprised. We said Carolina could win this game. The starting quarterback for Dwayne Haskins played in this game, and he was terrible, and we're going to talk a little bit about him later, but he was awful. He got benched in the second half, and the 4th-string QB outplayed him. Haskins was 14 for 28, 154, 2 picks, 1 fumble loss for a touchdown. And with Washington losing this game, it opened the door for the Giants and the Cowboys. So with Washington now, what are they going to do? Is Alex Smith going to play this Sunday? Because they're literally in a win and you're in situation.
Yes, they are. It's Saturday afternoon. I still don't know who's starting for the Washington football team at this point. It's either going to be Taylor Heineke, who came in for Dwayne Haskins last week, or you're going to roll Alex Smith out there. I don't know who the better option is. When Washington does play Alex Smith, they're a winning football team. When he doesn't play, they're a losing football team. So they're really going to want Alex Smith to play in that game. But I don't know who is taking shots for Washington Sunday Night Football tomorrow.
Yeah, they are still the Sunday Night Football game. Washington versus the Eagles. I thought that game would be flexed out for something else, but they're leaving it there. And Carolina, I feel like they're one of those teams where in NFL, like purgatory, because they're not super, super bad to get one of those top 3 picks, but they're not super, super good to be in playoff contention. Is it really just Christian McCaffrey just needs to play with what they have now, or do they need more?
They're a franchise quarterback away as well. Teddy Bridgewater is good, but he's not someone who's going to get you over the hump in the biggest games of the year. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, they're similar to the Colts in that situation. Matt Rule came in, he's turned around the team, got them playing hard. So they just need to keep doing what they continue to do this year, keep building on top of that, and find a quarterback somehow, and they'll be a formidable team in the NFC.
Next, let's talk about the Seahawks versus your Super Bowl NFC representative, the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm just not even going to say anything. So, Justin, take it away and talk about your NFC representative.
Yeah, it was a rough game once again. Like I said last week, I had the Rams straight up. They got beat by the Jets the week before, so I thought they were going to come out. They were preparing for this game during the week. They were supposed to play Jets, so I thought they were going to come out on fire. Defense held their end of the bargain. Russell Wilson was sacked. Russell Wilson was sacked 5 times, so they held their end of the bargain. Jared Goff just once again was complete trash. He ended up breaking his thumb in the game, but he was 24 for 43, 234 yards, 1 interception. And I think the Rams at this point should be looking for their next quarterback because Jared Goff is going to hold them back. They need to win this game to be in the playoffs. They still get in if the Bears win, which I don't think is going to happen, and they play the Cardinals this week. I mean, they could still win the game. They still have a good defense and a running game, but Jared Goff is a problem at quarterback.
Justin, I'm shocked. How do you go from 2 weeks the Rams are going to go to the Super Bowl to they need a new quarterback? What's changed in 2 weeks?
Jared Goff went down the shit the past 2 weeks. I mean, he's holding them back at this point. I mean, they have a top 5 defense, a top 5 running game. If Jared Goff doesn't make stupid turnovers, just make stupid decisions, they're a playoff team right now. They should have won the game last week. They have no excuse for losing to the Jets 2 weeks ago. And Jared Goff's not even playing right now. So I don't know how good the third string quarterback's going to be. I'm probably going to end up missing Jared Goff after this week. But, yeah, man, he's definitely the problem. He's definitely the one holding them back. He can't – if the Rams are losing the game, he's not going to be able to come back straight up. So it's a problem.
Man, let's just go right into that too, because that's one of our big game previews, because it's a win and you're in game for this. The Cardinals and the Rams, just with the Cardinals, they started off hot. There was a time where when you broke down those stats that Kyler Murray had better stats at a point than Lamar Jackson the year he won the MVP, and they took a couple of L's, but here they are at 8-7. Rams are 9-6, and in the second year of being a starter in the league, Kyler Murray can get this team to the playoffs with the win. And the Rams are in danger of missing the playoffs 2 years in a row after going to the Super Bowl and playing against the Patriots. Justin, this is winning you're in. Who's coming out on top in this Cardinals-Rams game?
I think the Cardinals are going to win the game simply because Jared Goff isn't playing. I know I say he was just trash, but he's still their starter. He's still better than anyone they have on the roster. And they don't have Cooper Kupp either, so they already couldn't. Ooh. They already couldn't. Yeah, he has. He's on the COVID list for this week. No Cooper Kupp for the Rams this week. So, yeah, the Rams are already couldn't throw the ball really. Losing one of their top receivers, don't have their starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. I still think the game's going to be close because Arizona last week had a chance to put the nail in the coffin on this playoff thing and beat the 49ers last week. They couldn't do that. They let the 49ers run for 227 yards, and they had a third string quarterback playing as well. So if the Rams can, get the running game going and play good defense, they can win this game and potentially have Jared Goff back next week and Cooper Kupp. But they do have to get past the Cardinals this week, who also need this game to get into the playoffs. And I think the Cardinals will have the extra motivation to get it done after that terrible performance last week.
With the Rams defense, do you think they could keep them in the game? Because if the Rams defense, let's say, get a couple turnovers, maybe a fumble recovery, a pick six, could that be the key for them to actually pull this off with their backup quarterback?
Yeah, I think the defense can for sure keep them in the game. That's essentially what the 49ers defense did for them last week, and they got them to win. So if the Rams can pretty much copy what the 49ers did last week against the Cardinals, they're in good shape. I just don't think with the Cardinals' extra motivation, Kyler Murray's going to be playing. He had a lower leg injury. He was on the injury report with a lower leg injury, so he might not be 100%. But they do need to win this game. They do have a better offense. Their defense isn't bad, and they're playing a third-string quarterback. They are playing a backup quarterback, so they should win the game. But it's going to be a close game. It's a divisional matchup. Sean McVay is a good coach. He doesn't really lose to the Arizona Cardinals. But I think they dig down deep enough to get the win.
Okay. But, man, we have a whole – and these are two of the teams, too. We have a whole bunch of playoff spots up for grabs. And it's in a COVID year with people having to sit out for contact tracing and all of that. You wouldn't even know because this NFL year has been actually very entertaining. And I haven't in my past, at least the past 5 years, I don't remember week 17 with so much in doubt. Do you?
If I looked it up, I could probably find one, but at least not the past couple of years. It hasn't been like this. There's a lot on the line this week.
So speaking of those things with a lot on the line, just go into the AFC back. Steelers, they're the 3 seed right now, and they're going against the Cleveland Browns, who is the 7th seed right now. And Cleveland, they had a chance to clinch last week against the Jets. Their whole receiving core was out due to COVID, so they had to bring some practice squad guys in. They took that loss. And they also could have got in if Miami would have lost to Oakland. But Fitzmagic happened, and Oakland lost to Miami. And the Browns, they have not been in this situation in a very long time. A win and you're in situation. What is the pressure level for the Browns? Can they get this done? Like, what are you seeing? Because if they win this game, there's going to be a lot of different dominoes falling in the AFC. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's definitely a pressure-packed moment for the Cleveland Browns. They're still dealing with COVID issues. The facility had to shut down twice this past week. And I think they might have to shut it down again this morning. Mm-hmm. So they're still dealing with COVID over in Cleveland. The Steelers are honestly just trying to rest up for their next playoff game. They can't get a bye. I don't think they're really too worried about home field advantage, at least getting the number 2 seed. Big Ben they already announced that Big Ben is not playing. Mason Rudolph's playing. Mason Rudolph was 5-3 as a starter last year, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but he's nothing special. This is also the rematch of the game where Myles Garrett took his helmet off and chucked Mason Rudolph with it. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting a Browns win. They need it. It's a huge game for them. And the Steelers are just looking to get healthy at this point and just trying to get to next week. They're trying to get the wild card weekend, so I think the Browns got it. But, yeah, their biggest game since 2002, last time they were in the playoffs. It's huge for Cleveland.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say on the Browns side, that I know a couple weeks ago we talked about the Monday night game with the Ravens being one of the biggest games. in their franchise's history, but this definitely supersedes that because if they lose, they're probably not going to be in the playoffs. And if they win, they're definitely in. And on the Steelers side, no, they can't get the number 1 seed because that's swooped up by Kansas City. But wouldn't you think they would at least attempt to play hard? Because right now, if I do remember, they're the 3 seed and they would play the 6th. So wouldn't they be playing Baltimore? We both said nobody wants to play Baltimore right now.
Yeah, they're a 3 seed. They'll be playing the 6 seed, but Steelers already beat Baltimore twice. I don't think they're thinking that we need to win this game to avoid Baltimore. And you got to remember that they have not had a bye week. Their COVID situations and what you had have made them lose their bye week. So I don't think they care where they're seated at. They just need to get everyone healthy and start the playoffs next week. So I don't think that's going to be a factor.
And then the other playoff potential teams, we already think Indiana's going to win, so that's basically a shoe. And if they lose, then more power. That's bad. The other one was the Tennessee Titans, who on that Sunday night game, they went to Green Bay. They were in that snow. They got stomped. And now their playoff lives are a thing, too. They are playing against Houston. Am I right on that? Or are they playing someone else?
They're playing Houston.
Now, what's their situation? Do they have to just win to clinch the AFC South, or?
That's correct. So the Titans win the AFC South if they win. So all they need to do is beat the Texans on Sunday, and they are in.
What if they lose?
If they lose, they need Indianapolis to lose, and they can also get in if Baltimore, Miami loses.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, going back to Miami. They are playing Buffalo. Now, is Buffalo resting their starters, or are they going all out?
We do not know that. No one really knows that. I haven't really, from what I'm watching, don't really know what Buffalo's going to do. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that they're not going to play their stars the whole game. They might start the game out with their stars in, but I don't think they're going to be finishing the game after we got the news that Big Ben's not playing. So if the Bills and the Steelers both lose that game, Buffalo's still the number 2 seed. So they'll necessarily.
But Miami also needs to win this game to get in for sure, right?
Yeah, they need to win.
And what if they lose? How do they get in?
Miami can clinch with a Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indy loss if they don't win.
So we have potentially 5 to 7 teams fighting for 3 to 5 spots right now.
We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 spots, and we have 5 teams for 4 spots.
Oh, Jesus! Wow.
Yeah, that's just 5 teams for 4 spots in the AFC.
In the AFC, the only ones who are really just chilling is Kansas City, and you already stated that Patrick Mahomes is not playing in their game, right?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is not playing in the Kansas City Chiefs game. They played the Chargers. That game doesn't have any playoff implications on it because they're already clinched the number 1 seed.
So then going to the NFC, we have the Cardinals, the Cardinals and the Rams obviously fighting for a spot. And then we have the team that came out of nowhere. Chicago is fighting for their playoff lives, and they're playing Green Bay. It hasn't been reported if Aaron Rodgers is playing or not because Green Bay is also trying to wrap up that number 1 seed. What are you seeing in that?
I expect Aaron Rodgers playing in that game. They still need a win to lock up the home. They still need a win to lock up home field advantage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Saints or the Seahawks could get home field if the Packers lose. Those scenarios are not easily available online, but yeah. But the Packers are playing the Bears are the home team. The Bears have been playing surprisingly well. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. Their offense has been playing really well since the bye week, since Mitchell Trubisky has taken over. Those teams have been a little shaky defensive wise. They played Houston, Minnesota, and Jacksonville during that 3-game winning streak. I'm expecting a shootout, but I just can't go against the Packers right now. The The Packers are 4-1 against the Packers since 2018, since Matt Nagy has been the head coach. And I just don't see the Bears win, but I do expect a lot of points to be scored and for the Bears to keep it close because this is one of their biggest games since they were in the playoffs 2 years ago. So
with the Bears, is it win and you're in, or do they need help?
When you're in, if they win, they clinch. They are the 7th seed.
And then how many teams do we have fighting for spots in the NFC? Don't we? Because we still have the whole NFC East up for grabs.
Yeah, you have the NFC East. So we have 3 teams. We have 3 teams for 2 spots essentially in the NFC. So the Cardinals, Bears, and Rams are basically fighting for 2 spots. Washington, New York, or Dallas are guaranteed, and if they win the NFC East. So it's 3 teams for 2 spots in the NFC.
Wow. And we haven't talked about it in a while because they've been irrelevant, but of course, the way this world works, they're relevant the last week. The Dallas Cowboys, if they win and Washington loses to the Eagles, out of some way, they are in the playoffs. As a Cowboys fan, do you think, A, you guys are going to win? Do you think Washington's going to lose? Like, what are you expecting out of this NFC East in the final week?
The Giants-Cowboys game is a pick 'em. I don't know who the hell going to win that game. I don't know who can win that game. So let's talk about the Sunday night game. We got the football team and the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
The line moved from Washington -2 to Washington -3.5. So the Eagles have a lot of guys who aren't going to be playing. I know Fletcher Cox, their big defensive tackle, isn't playing, and that's a primary reason why the Cowboys were able to put up so many points against the Eagles last week because Fletcher Cox wasn't playing, and that secondary is just awful. Now, Washington really doesn't have a quarterback to exploit that, but they also have that great defensive line, and the Eagles don't. And the Eagles' offensive line is not really humming at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the Eagles are a prideful city. They play in a prideful town. Should be a prideful team. Jalen Hurts has been moving the ball significantly better than Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Washington is going to be in it for a game. I think Philly's going to put on a tough fight. I don't think I can go against Washington in this game, though.
Okay.
Not with that defensive line.
With Jalen Hurts, if they do win, if the Eagles do win, and he has a magnificent performance, let's just say 333 touchdowns, no picks, 57 yards rushing, and a rushing touchdown, something like that, would that officially solidify him as the starter going forward, or are they still going to battle it out at QB camp? Because for people who are stationed in Ohio, I feel like we are also the Philadelphia news when it comes to this team.
Okay. Yeah, even if Jalen Hurts does have a great game, I still think it's going to be an open QB competition just simply because of the fact that the Eagles owe Carson Wentz too much money. He's simply not going anywhere next year. So it's going to be an open QB competition. They're going to have to see who plays better in camp and who's going to be running the team next year. You can't just slate Jalen Hurts to be the starter when you owe Carson Wentz so much money and you can't potentially deal him. If you can't find a way to get that dead cap money from trading him off the books, you got to keep him.
Okay. Just throwing that out there. Since we're talking about the Washington football team, before we go to Aki's bets of the week, let's just get this on with Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins was released this week on Monday, I believe. And that was a shocker to everyone because not only was he just a starter and he started some games for them, he was also a top 20 draft pick, and he was just drafted 2 years ago. When you first heard the news of that happening, what was your initial thoughts?
I was a little shocked. You just don't see that happening. You just don't see teams releasing guys on rookie deals. The NFL values cheap labor. So he must have been a team cancer. They're going to cut you on your rookie deal. That's the assumption that I went to after they cut him. He must be a team cancer. They must not be able to even deal with the guy. So we don't even need you here, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was disappointed, embarrassed. Things were coming out that he wasn't studying the playbook. He wasn't being the first one in the gym or at practice and the last one to leave type. Alex Smith and all those other quarterbacks were beating him there, and he was leaving before them. Obviously, just literally last week we were talking about him having these strippers at his private thing or whatever, and that coming out, and the irresponsibility of that, just because, his, even with, if he's not afraid of catching COVID, his head coach was literally battling cancer during this whole thing. So putting his coach at risk and things like that. And we've talked about it. This wasn't the group who drafted him. And that whole coaching staff and all that were gone. And that Jay Gruden didn't even want him. It was the owner who wanted him. So for the owner to be like, yeah, I'm sick of him, he can go, that's just bad. And these NFL starting quarterback jobs are there's 32 teams now, or is it still 31?
132.
Yeah, so one of 32. So you had one of the hardest jobs to get in the world, and you just blew it because you were lazy and still a child. And it just shows, and you even go back to the last year when he was taking pictures with the fan before doing the victory formation. Like, who the hell does that? So the man has a lot of growing up to do. But the NFL is one of those leagues, too, where if you get released on something like this, and you might get another chance, but we said that if Washington gave him another chance and he messed it up, he'd be over, and that's what happened. I don't know if any team's going to take him back, and his career might potentially be over.
Yeah, I can definitely see him not getting another shot. He's definitely going to have to. The only way I see him starting ever again is if someone signs him as a backup and a starter gets hurt.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's bringing Dwayne Haskins in to compete for a starting quarterback job at this point in his career after what has transpired in Washington.
Yeah, and this is the same guy when he got drafted. He said the league messed up, because I was one of those people where the whole summer I thought Dwayne was going to the Giants.
Yeah,
I thought they were going. This is where I thought him, Odell, and Saquon Barkley could really do some things before Odell went to Cleveland. And I was shocked that they went with Daniel Jones, because, I watched Duke games and they weren't good. And I obviously watched all the Ohio State games, and Dwayne Haskins threw 50 touchdowns that year and was third in the Heisman voting. So obviously I was wrong about that. A lot of people were wrong, because Daniel Jones is still playing and his team could potentially get in the playoffs. And Dwayne Haskins right now has no job. And then also the fact that literally after he got released, people were slighting Justin Fields here, saying if his draft stock might fall because of the OSU QB curse and all this garbage. And now you got the dude from BYU ranked ahead of Zach Wilson. That's his name.
Yeah, but Justin Fields probably put all that damn doubt to rest yesterday after throwing for 6 touchdowns like that. That was complete. Let me make this clear, America. Justin Fields is not Dwayne Haskins. Whoever drafts Justin Fields is not going to have a Dwayne Haskins situation. Justin Aki told you that here first.
Yeah, that's done. But it was just funny how they dropped him that, Tom McShay and all them, but then he does that, and now he'll be fine wherever he goes. I'm still on the notion that I don't think the Jets are going to draft a quarterback.
I think they're going to draft a quarterback, just simply because I think everyone's going to get fired, so they're going to want to start off fresh. And keeping Sam Darnold is definitely appealing, depending on what you can get for that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 pick. There's going to be some quarterback hungry teams. I can see the Colts moving up, the Rams maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh's going to need to figure out a QB situation. Big Ben's getting older. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. What the Jets do with that pick, number 2 pick, is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and even with Dwayne, too, just back, like, we brought this up a couple of weeks ago. It's no secret. He's black. So, and it's really, it used to be super hard to have a black starting quarterback in the league. There was only a time when we were growing up, it was only Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper. Like, these names weren't. It's not like now where you could see like 5 or 6 black starting quarterbacks. Back then, you would be lucky to even have 2. And for him to mess that up, just from the outside looking in, just ruining the opportunity that other black quarterbacks had to sacrifice so much and prove that they can play, then you just messed it up. So wish him the best in his endeavors, but I don't see him playing next year. But to go on that, let's get the Aki picks of the week, man. What are some good bets for the week?
Yeah, I had to change some of the bets since the email that I sent you yesterday because, new information. Right now, I got Miami +3 against Buffalo. Miami's winning, you're in. And I just don't think Buffalo's going to be playing all their stars the whole game. So I just think it's a good spot. Miami getting some points. I like the Green Bay Chicago over. We know the Packers offense has been humming all year. Aaron Rodgers probably going to win the MVP. And the Bears have also been humming on offense. They've been scoring over 30 since the bye week. So I like that over. And then I got 3 team teas to end it out. I like Tennessee taking their 7.5 points down to 0.5 points. I like Baltimore taking their 13 down to 6. And I like Indy taking their 14 down to 7 because all those teams need to win. All those teams need to win to get into the playoffs. They're playing awful teams. So I think they'll be able to get the margin to cover that spread, and it's good money winning for you guys.
Okay. Man, with that, this week 17 is going to be tomorrow, Sunday, 12 to 12. Everyone's going to be locked in watching the games. And by the time we're back, we're going to be doing a playoff preview, which is crazy to think of in a COVID era, but playoffs start on the 9th.
Yeah, we should have figured out a lot of this stuff last week, but teams like the Rams and the Cardinals and the Colts, Titans, they all wanted to lose last week. So now we get
and the Browns.
So now we got eliminator week 17 instead of week 16. So football fans, we pretty much get an extra playoff weekend. So you should be excited.
Yeah, with the playoffs coming, we're going to be here previewing every week till we get to that Super Bowl. But that's really all we had. Justin, you got anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, man, just that OSU game yesterday. Did you see Dabo's press conference? I wasn't able to see it, so I just wanted to ask you like what the hell he was saying after the game.
No, we stayed up. I mean, we were the last people who were here, they were all waiting for Dabo's thing. And just to give you a little tease, because we're going to definitely be talking about it on the College Football One pod, he basically just said that he was sticking to his guns about ranking Ohio State 11th. He wasn't changing that. He felt like that had nothing to do with the game. So that's basically just long story short. He just said they played better. It had nothing to do with him ranking them 11th. You would rank them 11th every time because they didn't play the amount of games. And that's to him. He's like, no team should be in the top 10 if you didn't play 9 or more. And that was that.
At least he's sticking to his guns. He's not backtracking.
But we'll definitely be breaking that down on our college football pod with Byron and then previewing that Alabama game. Because even though we smoked Clemson, there's a lot of issues with a first-team All-American Sean Wade that I'm nervous for what Devontae Smith's going to do to him.
Yeah, that Bama game's not going to be as easy as the Clemson game, unfortunately.
No, and if he doesn't win the Heisman on Tuesday, I might riot. So
I think he has it locked up.
I hope. I would hope so, because if it's Mac Jones isn't even he's not even the third best player on his team when it's fully healthy.
You know how that go, but
yeah, I know, but yeah, man. But we'll be back. You gonna hop on the College Football One with Byron when we do it, the review?
We're not doing it.
I don't know. We're still relishing in the glory right now. We still got a schedule. So
well, if you don't do it tomorrow, I can hop on it.
No, I'll probably do it Tuesday. I'll see if we can do it Tuesday.
Yeah, if you do
Tuesday.
Yeah, if you do it Tuesday, I'll hop on.
Yeah, because I can't record on tomorrow because I need to watch all the games. So. But yeah, man, that's all we got. Thank you guys for listening to the L7C podcast. We are going to be back next week previewing the playoffs, and enjoy week 17. It's not too often that we have like Justin said, basically a pseudo playoff weekend from 12 to 12 tomorrow. So enjoy it, take it in. You already know where you're going to get the best NFL content out right now on the local scale from us. So take care and have a good one. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.